Hey guys, this is Turek, and yeah, that's what I keep the light like this. And today I'm going I'm doing a review to chapter 1125 of One Piece. The Just came out probably last night. Actually, I saw some people already getting the reviews out. That was too late for me. So anyways, we oh, I gotta get There's so much that happens in this chapter. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. Where to start? I guess we start with what happened last time and move on. We last time we have the beginning of the follow of the Vegapunk the Egghead arc when we saw Morgan and Vivi talking together. We saw that Sentomaru escaped on his own. I guess we'll see where that goes with him and Kizaru later on. We actually saw a point there where Kizaru and just had enough with You see, it looks like he's at his breaking point now, where everyone was discussing this for a while with this stuff since the battle portion of this arc had gone on about. That was probably right before the Kuma flashback, and there was Kizaru changed sides, and he stuck with it, listening to Saturn's orders throughout this arc. But now I feel like he really has reached the breaking point where we might see him defect or turn in, and not defect, I should say, just resign from the Marines. He might have enough of this stuff, and he was so fed up over. He finally let his conscience get to him when he had to kill Vegapunk, who had become his friend. He had been, for years there, assigned to help oversee Vegapunk's progress. First he went to him after they'd gotten him from Mads, and then when he was there too when they caught him and Kuma having that secret deal to help Bonnie, and then Saturn had changed the deal. He had changed the deal to make Kuma a warlord and turn him into a cyborg, and then they would do that. Would continue on what Vegapunk wanted. So, anyways, actually, what I didn't catch there, but I didn't catch there was that when I saw this one part here. When they finished the conversation with Akainu and Kizaru, it was Akainu who had apologized to Kizaru. So we realized here that these two, you could see that there was a bond here, and Akainu realized how much he'd been pushing Kizaru, because Kizaru is his subordinate now. They used, when we had first met them prior to the time skip, they were equals, and we didn't. I don't think we ever saw any proper interaction between them back then. But this showed us that they definitely had a bond together, which makes me question how much Aokiji and Kainu were they really friends? I feel like from Aokiji's point of view, he felt like he was thought Akainu was a friend, but so that's why he felt heartbroken when he had it's just, but you could tell that their sense of justice had gotten their way, and they were going to have to fight for the fleet admiral position, which, as I discussed, I think in the last chapter review or one of the others, that should have really had to have happened. Kong or Sengoku should have stepped in and said, "No, this is how it's going to be. We're picking one of you guys. We'll pick, and you guys don't like it. Then you can one of you going to have." The one who doesn't get it, I guess you'll have to leave. I don't know, something like this is what I think about that. Anyways, the last part of the chapter focused on Lilith and the Straw Hats, and Lilith had revealed us that the others were okay. Really, the death that you saw wasn't actually the the scene like Pythagoras and Shaka to kill and all that didn't really mean anything. They were still alive, and they're gonna go. We go into that more in this chapter. And so the ending of it was them celebrating as they were heading to Elbath. And the last thing we saw was on that chapter was just some silhouette of a new character who's there. And the one video I saw I didn't watch it yet, but someone was theorizing that it's what's his name? Scopper Gaban? Is that his name? The guy who's that seemed to be the third in charge of Roger's ship. We saw him mostly, I think, in just a flashback through Odin's eyes, and some people are theorizing that he's there on Wano. I don't know. I'm done guessing that kind of stuff for now. I just don't unless when it comes to me theorizing that kind of stuff, I just don't think too hard on it, because then I just kind of get a block. I don't. Sometimes this stuff just comes to me as I'm thinking about other stuff. I don't know who that could be. I really don't have any ideas on that one at this time, so I'm not going to go over that. But let's just get started on this. I've been talking long enough with the Kizaru stuff. So now we continue more with the Fallout portion here of what's going on. And we start here at Egghead. And we start here with seeing Kaku and Lucci coming back to the ship, one of their ships, and getting ready. So they probably have their own. That's right, they have their own ship, not a marine ship. It's same kind of ship, I'm sure, but it's one where they're in charge of, and they're probably gonna. I don't know if they're gonna go back to like report to. They're probably gonna head back to Marijwa to report to the five elders, and then so you start with I think this is Lucci radioing into the other members. Hey, that no, is that them? Well, someone here is radioing in. I got to remember now that this one little panel, when they have this type of letterbox, there's someone using the radio. That's why I messed up with the part with Akainu and Kizaru. So, wait, don't do that. Someone's telling maybe this is just other Marines speaking. They're talking about loading up the Seraphim, and as soon as they're ready, so they're charging them up, they're preparing them to be deployed with them. And and then there's something that they leave off a part about, as for the weaponized Sea Beast and the Mark III pacifistas, I don't know if I know that, see, what is it? So Ethan disabled you know what's going to probably happen? He disabled the pacifistas because they didn't want to, because they were trying to, part of the goal here was not to destroy certain assets that Vegapunk had created. And I was a little confused when I think about it, why the Buster Call, when they use the Buster Call, I was thinking about how they really are risking destroying some of the stuff they wanted to save. Though fortunately, the main thing they want, probably like the power plant and the Mother Flame stuff, is in Punk Records. Although, so if we go back to Lucci and Kaku here, they're coming aboard their ship. Also, it looks like they've got all the rescued Cypherpol agents that York captured here, which is like, I just realized now that these other Cypherpol agents, if any of them ever go back there to help York, like if they order to for some reason to aid her, I think some of these other agents from the other branches, what was it, 5, 7, and 8, I think were the ones that went there and she captured them. They're not going to want to work with her again. I just thinking no one's going to be like, hey, that woman captured us and made us suffer for months. We're not going to deal with her anymore. So anyways, one of the agents sees Kaku and Lucci by themselves because Stussy's not there, and then they ask her. One of them asks Lucci, where is Stussy? And he says that she's been killed in action. getting. You see this look here. This is a very good point to stop and look at this. Kaku here. Actually, I can look at this one. Kaku here. You don't see his eyes. He just got this face. Like, I'm certain what happened here is he lied to Lucci and said that she died. And he's still trying to deal with the fact that she is like a friend to him, but he had to, he felt betrayed by her for turning against them. I hope before Elbel starts, we'll find out what happened to the, where she went off to. So, anyways, let's leave that for now. So, now we switch to Saturn. This is the first time we saw him since when Emmett kicked the others back to the room of authority in Marijwa. We saw him just still standing there watching as the Straw Hats escape. So when he decided not to pursue them here, and then instead, so he's here talking with the vice admirals. We don't see Kizaru here. It's just all the vice admirals that came on this mission. So we got Dahl and Bluegrass and the others here, and you can see now the effects also of Bonnie's power turn off. They're back to normal, and he's kind of like dressing him down a little bit. Is that the right term? Like, because he starts with a positive note, like, okay, the mission was a success overall. We got control of Punk Records and the power station, and we have a deal here with York. So he's kind of briefing them there. Maybe he's planning on leaving some of them here as a guard. I think that's what's going to happen. I bet some of these vice admirals will be stationed here to protect this place, so nothing else like this happens. So another, you don't have whatever hit Blackbeard sneak in. That's something to get into later. He's probably gonna make sure no other pirates come out of the horizon there and sneak into there and cause problems. Wasn't there 10? There's 9 of them there. Okay. Anyways, he continues going on like, okay, we could have had a perfect mission, but we had one major thing happen that went wrong, and some of the admirals start talking and saying, "Oh, I know, we understand, Saturn. We failed to catch Bonnie and the Straw Hat crew. We had all these ships at our command here. We had the biggest fleet we've ever gathered together in recent history, but we were unable to catch them. So please let us rectify this by going after them to Elbath." And Saturn just stops him like, "No, I wasn't talking about that. No, you're not going to send you after them. What I am speaking of is that we failed to stop the message." Wait a minute now. I got to go ahead a little bit. Listen. Okay. So he continues on saying, like, not to mention that we failed that the Iron Giant surfacing and aiding the pirates to escape. But okay, he's kind of like at this point, he's kind of like talking to himself a little bit, mulling over this mistake. So I don't get why he's bringing the vice admirals here though. I'm surprised he's talking with them. He should be only. I would think he wouldn't trust them with some of this stuff, and you'll see what I mean in a minute with some of that. But we switch to a small flashback. So we do see here for sure that Saturn and the others have been alive a long time, and I think it's not because of their devil fruits or anything, whatever they got. I think Eam is endowing them with something, and we'll see why. I'll get why in a minute here. So we go to a flashback of when the Iron Giant, after its rampage in Marijwa 200 years ago, and okay, so what happened here is we found out before that Vegapunk explained to us that after its rampage was over, the Iron Giant had to stop suddenly, and it was supposed to be destroyed. And I think the way Vegapunk explained it was that the scientists of that time realized its value and hid it away. But that's not wholly true here. We see here, so Vegapunk probably didn't even know this, Saturn ordered it to be studied. And so he see him here addressing with 3 scientists with the Iron Giant in the background. So they're somewhere in the streets of Marijois where the Iron Giant shut down. It's right in the distance behind them. And he's ordered them to study it. And they say, wait, well, we received orders elsewhere, probably from like maybe the fleet admiral of the time or something. Someone else and said, let's get rid of that thing. And the Saturn says, no, I'm superseding those orders. I'm taking responsibility for that, and I want you guys now to take it and study it. And then they get really excited. You see, is that them saying that? One of them gets like, really? And I think that's him saying, I don't know if it's one of the scientists saying it to Saturn or him saying it back, like, this is the future. I'm certain if we study it, it will help us on the long run. And then this goes back to scientists. They're saying, "Oh, hey, thank you very much. We were hoping that we could save it, but they had orders, and so they were going to listen." So we see them; we see 3 scientists, and they're all just really excited. And this thing is so unique. We are so happy for this chance to do that. And now we switch to back from the flashback with Saturn mulling over this. So we see clearly here that he wanted this thing to be studied because he hoped it would help them. And now it ended up being a foiling their overall goals here of part of it, like he said, to catch Bonnie and to stop the Straw Hats finally with its unknown ability. Well, unknown to him. He's thinking about this like, okay, what the hell happened here? It even says it was dormant for 200 years, and yet it moved when it wanted to, and it came in the defense of Luffy. So there's something here I want to stop too. I might have brought this up before, or I might have heard someone else bring this up. Why would it? The one thing I keep thinking about with how we saw these Iron Giant activate here, and how is that Luffy turned into his awakened form. So I'm wondering, my thoughts are, perhaps a previous user of Luffy's fruit, the Nika fruit, because it was implied by the Gorosei at Wano during the Wano part how they couldn't gain the fruit for 800 years and it hadn't awakened, but there's still it seems likely that some other people had found Nika's fruit and ate it, but had not awakened it, with the exception of right here. This is kind of my loose theory. Someone at this time had awakened the fruit, and at that time, and I'm wondering if it was somewhere else, the guy was somewhere else in the world, or girl, whoever, and they awakened the fruit, and then the giant woke up and was trying to, maybe the giant was one thing was the giant in Marijois, or did it climb up the red wall like Kuma did and then go up there? Like, it could have been either or, I guess. My guess was it wasn't really rampaging, is what I'm getting at too. It was trying to head in the direction of who the awakened Nika person at that time. And then that person, maybe they either got killed, they just turned off the power because they just had awakened it. But it says it never woke up again. So if this theory I'm talking about is correct, that means that person probably died not long after because they never used the awakening form again. Anyways, yeah, so that's my theory on that one. Let's see here. So now we get to something interesting. Doberman, Vice Admiral Doberman, and he, I don't know why he thought he would get away with this. He said, "Sir, humbly ask a question. Considering you're saying that this was a failure, does that mean Vegapunk's message had some truth behind it?" I think I'm sure in particular he's worried only about the rising of the sea. That's what everyone else is really concerned about. But this gets Saturn angry here, and Saturn's probably concerned about this because of, the part they're worried about, the part of the war they've been trying to hide the idea of this war to everyone. They I guess they're trying to have the clean slate where, like, no, there was never any other civilizations before us. Think about this. It's like, it's interesting to think about this because we've had different points in history where civilizations collapsed. There's two in particular. The fall of the Roman Empire is the big one, and then there's also there was that point where this happened about, what was this, the 1100s BC, where a bunch of different societies at once collapsed, the Greeks, the Egyptians, and there was this story about the sea people or something. So from that point on, where we saw there was like this dark age, especially for Greece. I forget who they were. Was that when what were they called? But anyways, the classical Greece that we know about rose out of that dark age that happened for a few hundred years or more after that in Greece. But my point is, we still have many ruins of the further societies beforehand, especially, so obviously there was Egypt with the pyramids, but like there's all kinds of ruins. Even by the time of classical Greece, there were ruins of other palaces and whatnot that they had evidence of. And the same thing in medieval Europe, as the Dark Ages of Europe, as it's sometimes called in history. Everyone knew, all the educated people anyways, knew about, there used to be this empire that was in Italy and controlled all of Europe. Hell, there were even roads in England and everywhere else that were still being used for centuries afterward because they were so well made, and that's the main thing that people would use, commerce and armies traversing everywhere. So they knew about that kind of stuff. Now just imagine if, like, the entities in Europe, say like the Catholic Church was one of the edifices that still continued afterward. What if they tried to wipe out the memory of the Roman Empire and say, no, there was never any Rome Empire before. We were always the only entity. Like, we were, out of the grace of Jesus and God, we started in Rome, and we started, there was, like, it's like, imagine if all kinds of the history of the Roman Empire was trying to be erased. Is what I'm getting at. This is what's going on here. I almost wonder now, would that mean that that the use of the ancient weapons to rise the sea level was purposeful? That's what I'm getting, especially with Uranus and Pluton. Uranus especially, I guess, because there's something there with Pluton. I'm wondering if the side that Joy Boy was on had Pluton, maybe the other side had Uranus, maybe the Poseidon, the mermaid, who was the avatar of Poseidon in that time, could have sided with Joy Boy. I'm just wondering if there's so many factors there. In war, you can have different changing sides, but especially with the use of Uranus, and what we just saw happen, how it works, and how Vegapunk explained it. Perhaps the Eam had Uranus used purposely after the war was over, I guess we could say, to continue to create the factors that would raise the water level enough to cover up all those ancient cities and just hide their existence for some reason. So anyways, it's clearly they're trying to hide the truth for some reason there, and that's why here, back to this present, he's very upset with the message getting out. They clearly don't want people of the current age to know about the past. Even it might even be the same with many of the celestial dragons. We'll get to that in a moment. I have a tangent with that, but fucking Saturn, he doesn't even have this angry look. He just is this cold stare, and then Doberman realizes, oh shit, I went too far. And the next panel, he must have used like his Conqueror's hockey, I think, and we see Doberman smashing push backwards through a door, and he's all busted up from the attack. And then we see the other admirals like, wait, Vice Admiral Doberman, are you okay? And we don't see any more with that. We just see, well, no, we will, kind of, but someone that just start yelling, medic, get a medic, the Vice Admiral's down. And it just probably, the other ones probably just shut up at that point. We don't actually see their face. I got to correct myself a little there. We just see. So the other one's probably just like, okay, we better not bring that up again. Oh, this is the first part I really liked about this. We switch to um, inside the lab with York, and she's working on something. And no, she's just sitting there. I don't know if she was working on something, but suddenly there's all these clouds. The cloud things are starting up. That machine that they had to create that, and York's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And she wait, no, where is she? Is she down below? No, yeah. So she's okay. So she's in the main part of the she's still, yeah, she's inside the egg part. So they have this egg, it kind of opens half, it's shaped like a whole egg, but it's opened up. And there's that bottom area where the label phase is. The whole area is called the label phase. It's the lab area. You know, I'll have to put an image of that up because it's in the anime now. Um, um, there's the lab there is on the bottom opening of the egg, the bottom part, and then the top part is where Punk Records is. And so suddenly we see all these clouds forming up around the label phase, and then we switch to a picture of the cloud factory, and so York starts saying, "Hey, what's going on? This clouds are starting to just form around here. Is it going haywire?" And then she's like thinking, she gets her gun out, and what's she trying to shoot at? She starts to shoot at something. She's shooting where. So she says first, Edison must be doing this. So last time we saw Edison, he was in the cloud factory. I thought that it was Glow though, and but he went down to the controller and make clouds for the Straw Hats who were on the Sunny to escape. So she takes her gun out and she shoots toward the back of the Punk Records. Maybe she's trying to stop the clouds. And we see a little panel of Edison, and he's like, haha. He just kind of laughs there, and he's trying to distract her, it looks like. Because he goes like, bingo. And we see her shooting at, yeah, she blows up something at the back of Punk Records. Yeah, this is one of the areas where I think Oda's cutting the panels down too much, and I don't quite get if she was shooting at him there, because the factory, like I said, I thought it was below. Maybe he was over there and she shot at him. But the next thing we see, we switch to York looking up, and she's like, "Oh shit, I've been played." And then we shoot out again to the to Egghead, and we see the cloud. Edison is flying off. We don't see him. We see the clouds have formed. Oh, is that how he did that? No, did she cut it off herself? Anyways, the clouds are floating up with the Punk Records portion of the lab. And that's where she's like, "Oh my god, he's taking Punk Records." So that's that. Oh, I was so excited when I saw it. So Edison is still alive as well, and then we'll get to this more. York's going to be in a lot of trouble now, I think. I think that part, I don't know if that part still has the mother flame and the power plant, or are they one and the same? But Punk Records has definitely been taken. Edison has escaped with it. And so, meanwhile, we switch away to a page where we get to see the Celestial Dragons, and they're not having a good time. This is like, what was it? It was a month ago or more that Asabo and the other captains of the Revolutionary had destroyed their food reserves, and we see that they're not handling it well. And now they're clamoring and yelling around like, what the hell is Vegapunk talking about? And then they're just bitching basically. Like, Vegapunk can't be telling the truth, can he? And what's going on with Akainu? Why hasn't he done anything about capture Kuma? And then there's some of them like coping with it. Like, well, whatever if the world sinks, it won't affect us. But now we get to the part with the food, and we see one at the dinner table, and he's yelling at the cook that's there, like, "Wait, Um, he's bitching because he wanted steak for dinner, and he's like, "You served me fish instead. Where's the steak?" And he's like, "Well, we don't have any left. The food stores of that have been are gone, and we can't replenish it right now." And then we see some more of them yelling together. They're basically yelling, screaming about their injustice of this happening to them, to each other, and one's like, "Oh, this food issue is gone too far." Uh, and one's going on, I couldn't even eat a proper meal yesterday. I was only, and then there wasn't even enough food left for me to have snacks. And the other ones are like, "This is unacceptable. We're being treated like common street rats." And then there's other ones screaming and crying like, "Oh my God, does this mean we're gonna starve because of this?" And then the other ones are going, "Oh, let's we must make whoever did this pay. Let's torture them or kill them to death." They're arguing about all this stuff, basically. Now, this is the next great part. This is where it really gets interesting. It was good enough that we saw York foiled by Edison, but next we suddenly go to the room of authority. Which was that? Suddenly, Garling, Shanks' dad, the Saint Garling, the one we met earlier, he walks into the room of authority. The others are just still there. And he's dressed up this time. He's not wearing that outfit. What did he have on? He had like a knight's, his outfit probably for like combat, when he had sentenced the other, our ally, one Celestial Dragon, what was his name? Mori, something with the M. He's suddenly dressed up in a suit like them. And the others are like, "What are you doing here? We didn't summon you." So this is one thing that's interesting at this point. It looks like even though he's one of the gods' knights, they still look down upon him. Not look down upon him, so to speak, but he has to answer to them as a god's knight. So they're like, "You can't come in here without being. We didn't summon you, so you just be gone now." But he's like, "Nope, I have orders that have been bestowed upon me." And it's like, what? And then Top Man's like, who gave you new orders? And I was thinking, like, shouldn't that be obvious? And then Peter's like, "What are you talking about?" And Mars is like, you better tread lightly. I'll just say it the way he said. You forget yourself. So again, like this is like that Lord, and like this is like the thing when you have a samurai serving a shogun, perhaps. Let's use that as a metaphor. And they're like, you're still just a warrior. We're the leaders here. And Ethan's just like, "What's going on?" No, he just thinks that. So Garland comes up, and he just said, he presents what his orders are. He says, "The Vegapunk who known as York has now been put under my purview. I was just named the new defense science warrior god." And the others are just like, "Wait, what?" And so he just comes in and he takes a seat in that spot. It must have been the spot where, is that the one seat? Because there's one side, there's like two couches and one chair. So Mars is standing up there, the other two, yeah. So that's probably the chair where Saturn sat. So he's like, well, he makes this little comment, no, what do you call that? Anyways, he's like, with the world coming into turmoil and a new level of rebellion imminent, we should just work together now, my fellow elders. And there's a big, now he sits down and we get a great name card thing. And so it doesn't say if he's being named Saturn, like he's going to receive that title. It just has the 5 elder planets, Saint Fergalin Garling, defense god, science defense warrior god. Excuse me. So now what happened? We switch back to where Saturn is, and first we just see him screaming and choking, and then the other vice admirals are still there. So this is probably just a moment later from when we saw him briefing and talking with the vice admirals, and he's on the floor, and there's like smoke coming out of him, and he's like reaching for his throat like he's choking, and the others are like, "Oh my God, Saint Saturn, he's dying! Get the medics!" They continue like, "Hurry up! He's one of the gods, the whatever they call him. We can't let anything happen to him." And then some of them are like going up to him like, "Saturn, can you tell us what to do? What's happening?" And then the smoke's getting worse around it. It looks like it's forming a circle. And he just starts. We start seeing him like withering away. And it's just like it looks like his life force is just being sucked out of him, and he's like thinking to himself, "Wait, no, it can't be." And we just get this shocked. Then we get great panels of the shocked faces of the vice admirals, and he speaks to Emu. Emu's coming and speaking to him mentally, and he's like, "Emu, why?" And he's like, "Saturn, this Zuri boy was behind that escape, and you allowed it to happen." And he's like, I know, I'm sorry. I didn't know what would happen. It's just, and suddenly he just continues to wither away. Eam just, all we see though, actually, I forgot to say it too, we see a panel of Eam's eye, and he just looks, there's like a badom sound effect or something like that, and he says, unfortunately, we still haven't seen what he looks like. I'm hoping that like we're teching say will be correct about him having a silhouette, finally the veil, so to speak, blown over, removed at the end of this arc. So we get this one more panels have this like explosion of, it almost looks like Conker's hockey, but there's also like smoke, and he continues to be, he's screaming still, and he's like pleading with Emu, like, "Please, I'm sorry." And there's like this explosion, and we see all the other vice animals get blown away, and the last thing we see there is there's a some of the smoke is fading off, and we just see a skull rolling on the ground. Or actually, there's also a skeleton. It's one of the we don't see all of it, but the one of the other vice animals like, "What the hell? There's just a skeleton there." Oh God! So Saturn is dead. Holy shit! I did not expect that. I don't know why. I should have realized that this is kind of typical when you have a villain who's at the top and they won't accept failure, and so now we know too that Saturn's been around a long time. He's been faithful and serving under Emu for over 200 years, but this failure, because it had to do with Joy Boy, he just took his anger. Emu took his anger out, and you're done. You failed me in an inexcusable way, so I'm replacing you. So that's what happened to the girls say, as soon as once Garland told them that he was the new science god, they knew right away that meant that Saturn was done. So now we go back to Edison. We actually get to see what's going on here. So now the others are still, this is what I was going on about earlier, the others are alive. So we start seeing a conversation with the satellites, the Vegapunk satellites. Hold on a second. Okay, now this makes sense. When York shot that gun earlier, she wasn't shooting at Edison. She realized what was happening, and Edison was trying to remove all of the punk, take all of the Labophase out of the away from the island, so that to escape, to keep it out of the grasp of let me go up to this one. Yeah, out of the grasp of the government. Hold on, let me get this panel back up here. But she saw. So when she saw what was going to happen, she shot at the. She shot at the point where the egg thing was, like I said, the hinge area, to make sure that she kept the Labophase. So the lower part. So the lower part must be where the mother flame is. This part that they escaped with, the upper part, is only the wait, where is that other piece? I wonder where she shot. Right there, yeah. Yeah, she shot at that. She did. That was her last effort to try and make sure that Edison didn't escape with everything. Though she was on that portion, I think. So I don't know if they would have had to restrain her afterward. But we start seeing a conversation here. I don't know if it's like internally. It looks like it is. Like we see Edison here. Anyways, I'll get to it in a second. So we see the other satellites, the ones that were dead, and we start with Shotgun. He's like, well, unfortunately, we only got away with punk records. We couldn't get the rest of it as we planned. And Saturn and Atlas is just like, yeah, that freaking Trader York stopped us from being able to get that part. And then we see Pythagoras going, oh, she can still communicate with it too. So this, and then Edison's like, that's a, well, we're gonna have to deal with that somehow. Like, nah, not that way. She's like, Edison's like, well, at least we got this thing away so that she doesn't have everything. So there's a problem there. I don't know if they're going to have to how they're going to find a way to keep her from communicating with it. You know what they got to do? They got to shut off the signal on their end so she can't. There should be a way for them to like shut off. It's like let's use a metaphor of a computer. Say the computer is punk records, and then it's using Wi-Fi to connect to your router. They got to shut off the Wi-Fi signal from the computer itself so it can't receive her, so she can try and communicate to it, but it just ignores her requests to communicate with punk records. And I think Edison's saying until all of humanity can access our brain, we have to keep it safe. I think that's him, the way he's speaking. And then Vegapunk, that means Shaka goes, it'll probably be at least 500 years. And he says to Edison, I assumed you used a Roman cloud. And Edison's like, yep, the whole world's Greek. How do we say that? So the whole world thinks Vegapunk's, we're all dead. So we gotta be like he's basically saying we gotta stay in the down low for a while. Stay hidden. And then Pythagoras is like, well, unfortunately now with no funds or resources, we can't keep inventing right now. We'll just have to leave that to our partners. Wait, our partners? Anyway, so now Edison goes into a room here, and we see, so they clearly were all just like cyborgs. Even though like York was consuming food and somehow she was still like, kind of like, so they have replaceable parts. Edison goes in here, goes into a room. I think they're all just going to meld into one mind now. They're just sharing his body. So I thought they had others. It looks like they have others for now. Wait, this is weird. So Edison goes into this room and he's putting on a part from each of the other satellites to replace it. So he's put his head onto Shaka's body, and he's got one of Pythagoras' arms and one of Atlas's arms, and he just looks very goofy. But also, so he's got Atlas's arm is his left one. He put a left one on replacement, and a right of Pythagoras. And he looks at it, he's like, oh, how do we look? And Atlas is laughing at it like, yeah, that looks good. It's bonkers, but it's good. And Shaka's like, I see you prefer my proportions. And one of them was like, who says that? Shut up, you knucklehead. And then so he's walking down this corridor, and you see all the replacement parts. You see a bunch of Edison's heads, the faces of Atlas, and on the left there's some of York's body replacements. And Atlas is like, let's get rid of those spare parts of York right now. And one of them's like, yeah, good idea. They're creepy anyways. And in the last bit of this, we go to Edison gets a Dent and Mushy out, and he contacts Weathervaria, the place now he was. We see that one. I'm gonna call him the Wizard. I'm sure he had a name, but I don't recall it now. And he's like, Weathervaria, we're here. This is Vegapunk. And the other was like, wait, I thought I heard you died. So they're going to come up. I think they're going to have Weathervaria. I'm guessing, by the way, what Shaka said a moment ago, Weathervaria is going to probably have to like tow them, because he said they were on a Roman cloud, so they probably don't have anything there to, because the clouds were just forming. He had it form around them, and then it was trying to detach away from the island, but anyways, they still got the half out, so they don't have anything to, to control where they're going. So Weathervaria is probably going to come get them. So now we go to the last scenes here of the chapter, and we're back with the Revolutionary Army. And now they're like they're discussing what they heard from Vegapunk. Uh, so some of them are freaking out. I don't know, say other vice captains. They're like, "Oh my god, what's going to happen now?" And one of them's like, "Oh, are we going to die? I don't want to die." And then another one's going on. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I can swim even if the water rises. And then we see them together with and Koala's there, and she's taking notes of what Vegapunk said, and she starts going over. Okay, so there was this void century that covered up a massive war, and then that were used, and there were ancient weapons used, and they caused the world to rise up. And then she starts going over, and now there's this Vegapunk claims that whoever gets the One Piece will be crowned a pirate, not only be crowned Pirate King, but likely get to wield that devastating power. And then so Bello Betty chimes in and is like, "We can't let that happen." There's something there. I'm worried about that. That means I'm worried now. That means they're gonna pursue the One Piece and get in Luffy's way as well. That might be the point. I'm feeling that's gonna culminate in Dragon and him meeting. That's all I can think of now. And so Bella Benny just points out, "Oh, the world's going to sink." She just says, "Okay, so the world's going to sink." Well, I don't know. It makes it look like she's saying it as a statement, but I think she's just mulling over it. And then Sabo comments, "That must be why the celestial dragons, the first ones, chose to live on the red line, so that in case the water kept rising, it's the highest point on the planet." And then Ivankov goes over and points out about that bridge, Tequila Wolf. And then after we find out there's other ones like it, a bunch of these bridges, he's like, so there's a tequila, vodka, rum, and bourbon. He said this is why they must have been spent the last 700 years building those bridges, so that they're probably building them up to be in anticipation of water rising more, and use them as ways to, maybe they just want to use that instead of ships to get around. I mean, they got ships. Why are they worried about having a bridge, though? Anyways, okay, well, so we finished off this part of the conversation with the other captains. Like, this is all making more sense now. So like they're using this intel to help. This is stuff they didn't even know, and they're like, now the pieces of what our enemy is doing is making more sense. I mean, last scene here. Now we go to Dragon. He doesn't look like he was at the meeting right now where the captains and vice captains were all discussing it. They're all grouped together outside that castle. He's over there looking at on the Dragon's on the shoreline, and he's like, well, he said, Vegapunk, even though many of those people that will want to listen to your warning are now going to act out of self-interest instead of peace. So we must hurry and achieve our victory before people start fighting over each other for whatever land is habitable. So he's concerned now that they don't gain control of the world government. That I wonder if he's meaning like that the world government as it is now won't stop other countries from fighting each other over high ground areas. What other area? Oh, Drum Island. Drum Island would be one that people might try to take control of, huh? What other ones? There's also Wano. Wano could be in trouble now too. I'm thinking like that. He's thinking about, I'm guessing, a war where other countries will start saying, "Oh, you over there, Drum Island." Like Alabasta probably would never do this, but Alabasta and Drum Island are close by, and if Alabasta was under some tyrant's control ruler, he probably would say, "Oh, Drum Island." It's like, I think that's the thing too. I think Drum Island was said to be only a few days or more from Alabasta. So, anyways, just pretending that Alabasta was under a tyrant control, he might look over there and like, "Oh yeah, there's Drum Island. They got those big mountains that are like 5,000 feet high. That's gonna be ours now." He might send like a fleet, hypothetically again, to like take over that area and say, "This is part of ours now, and you're under our control," and have it there as like a plan, a backup if the seas rise, to send people there. or probably in this case, since using a hypothetical tyrant, he just would set up a castle up there or take over the one that's there that Wapple used to control, or who's that guy? Dalton is their king now. So that's the kind of scenarios I'm picturing that Dragon's probably also thinking about. The worst case scenarios is that people are going to start fighting each other, taking over each other's. The bigger nations will start taking over other nations that have acceptable mountains and habitable mountains and stuff, like areas that they can have at the ready if the sea starts rising, so that they can. Like some of the other ones might still, maybe some of them wouldn't be as bad as the hypothetical I said, like, and they might take over, but then they might still be doing it to help their own people. Like, I have to do this, no hard feelings. If the sea's going to rise, I need some of my people to survive, and I'm going to send them up to live in your land. So obviously the other part too is oftentimes when other peoples move in to take over land, they might start removing the local population, sending them off or killing them. So there's that kind of thing that I'm sure Dragon is concerned about here. So there was a lot that happened here. Holy shit. So we are truly seeing the fallout now, where the thing too that was really, where was I wrote that in a note to myself. We really are seeing a point now, that where the other groups who are interested in the One Piece are gonna be acting more haste now because of Vegapunk's message. It's not just what Dragon said, it's that like the other pirates out there might think, okay, we have to find the One Piece now because the others will do it before us. Like this was probably kind of what happened when after Roger spoke about the One Piece, his execution, and people were probably hurrying over there to the end of the Grand Line to look for the island quickly. So there was probably like this weeks or even years, up to years of I would say maybe I would imagine it could have been a couple of years where everyone was like, there was all kinds of activity because everyone was hoping to find the One Piece real fast and take the crown. Metaphor, not the crown literally, but you know what I mean. But now, and no one ever found it, and for the last 20 plus years, everyone's still kind of looking. But you had like the emperors, for example, like Kaido and Big Mom in particular, just waiting there, biding their time, so they could get the advantage they need to find it and find the other poneglyphs. I'm kind of surprised we didn't have them kind of having search parties go out, like actually, because Kaido, it's almost like Kaido too kind of lost interest in it. Like, and Moria was building up an army to find it. Crocodile, I don't know if he ever actually wanted to find it anymore. It seemed like he wanted to when he was younger, but now he's like, it doesn't seem like that's kind of what Buggy was yelling at him about in the about saying you guys lost your edge. You need to gain it back. Let's go find it now, and the One Piece. So, anyways, that's I think. What we're going to see now is that more pirates are going to be acting hastily. When I say pirates, obviously we saw that where all these other pirates got really saying, oh my God, the One Piece really exists. Let's go look for it. What I'm speaking about is all the major players are going to start acting with haste to find it. Like Blackbeard's been slowly building up his power to go after it. But I think he's also kind of was biding his time. The same way kind of like Doleflinger too. But let's fish Blackbeard too. Biding his time, maybe hoping that, like it seemed like he was thinking about this when he knew that Big Mom and Kaido had made the alliance and Luffy and the others were there, that he knew, he's waiting for them to destroy each other so that he could get the poneglyphs and get to it. But now he's going to probably have to act a little faster, speed up his plan, whatever plans he has, because he's going to be worried about other parties that he might perceive as rivals go after it. Especially like the Marines now too. And I'm saying that's what Doflamingo, I think, all along was trying to do. He wanted to be king of the pirates. He just was biding his time for Kaido, probably because especially like Kaido and Big Mom being older, and he wanted to like get the immortality through Law's fruit, and then just wait until all the old guard, the older pirates passed away, and then he could go and find the One Piece without any hurdles, because he knew he wasn't strong enough himself just to go take them on. And so well, hopefully we'll see a bit more here of how this is what kind of plans are gonna be moved up, and it's like the schedule that these other major players have to fight it. Like, what are the Marines gonna do to stop them? We know that because Kobe says, "I have to stop you, Luffy." Is he gonna start? As soon as he heals up, he's probably gonna get a ship and be heading out toward Elbaf, perhaps, or that direction. Like, we have to find Luffy and stop them. We can't let them find it. That's only, like, I'm saying it that way because too, they don't know. I don't think they know much about the poneglyph. None of them, except maybe a few at the top, would understand that you need those poneglyphs to find the One Piece. Because if the Marines obviously could get there, they would have claimed it a long time ago as well. So I don't know. So my thoughts on Kobe would try to stop Luffy now. Like, he'll have to face him and say, "No, we have to bring you in because I know your goal is to find it, and I can't let you do that. So, and since I can't find it myself, I have to stop you instead. I have to do the next best thing." Now this is going to be interesting to see this power dynamic with Garling, because it's funny there, because Garling, he's like the most intimidating of all the celestial dragons we've seen. Not counting like Eam, because I don't know if Eam is a celestial dragon, because we know he's one of the 20, we think. But it's funny here. Let's go into this a little bit. I wonder how many other celestial dragons there are. Like, where is this pool of them coming from that could be acceptable to be one of the Gorosei? When we look at the Gorosei here, the six that we've seen, with Garling here. Also, we could probably include the other God's Knights as potential candidates. But that's like maybe 15 characters, people that could be part of this little oligarchy that have the wherewithal to help keep the world in check. Keep things going smoothly. There's stuff going on with the world government. Because when you look at the other celestial dragons, they're all just a bunch of petty, entitled assholes that only care about their meals and other stuff and being catered to the whole time. So I'm just wondering, like, are there just some certain families of the Gorosei, like the Gorosei themselves, that we haven't seen, where they actually take care of themselves, they're well educated, they know about the void century and stuff. There must be some members here, I think, that just aren't these slovenly things that the others are. So, because Garling is clearly like that too, because we saw Ian immediately picked him. This looked like this happened immediately, because it can't have been a day, because we saw Saturn still at Egghead mulling over the stuff that happened, and he looked like he was. It's funny because he was talking to the vice admirals and talking about their failure, and meanwhile he's seeing things happening above him. Eames like, "I'm talking about your failure. Forget about them." Like, it's almost like I doubt basically that Eam will punish the vice admirals or Kizaru. Maybe he would with Kizaru, but he's like thinking, I need them more. We can't just. I'm not going to kill all of them, but you're replaceable. You failed, and he's also really angry. He looked like he almost might have done this in a hot-headed moment, where he's like, "You're the one who failed. I'm going to take care of you." And the vice admirals, I'll comparatively perhaps just give them a slap on the wrist for their failures here, but I don't. It's almost like they're not replaceable compared to Saturn, like I was kind of saying. But anyways, back with the Celestial Dragons. I hope to see someday if that's what the case. Like, we got all these chumps here that just look like, all they do is worry about being catered to, as I said, and there must be some of them. I'm sure, like, maybe they're like branches of the family, because there was 19 families, and we see there's like probably hundreds of them from descendants of those, but hopefully it's like, yeah, like some of them probably not this like this. So it must be if the Gorosei are part of that, because they're all called saints also. But we that's the funny thing too. We never get to see the Gorosei interact with. Um, we never seen them interact with these other celestial dragons. It's almost like the celestial dragons don't even know about them. Like they must, like they're like, okay, we're over here and we're catered to, and you guys handle all the day-to-day work. I'm too busy for that. I'm gonna go try the newest caviar that was brought in. I can't be bothered with this bullshit. Where I'm so it's I have a feeling that the other celestial dragons, the regular chumps we see, they probably almost look down upon the Gorosei, like they have to work. There's someone. I mean, there would be like, oh, someone has to run the world government and keep it running so we can get all our extravagant food. So let those chumps, those five losers, run it while we get the latest caviar and wine imported. And meanwhile, the Gorosei themselves probably look down upon them. The other ones, like those idiots, they don't realize how much we're working every day so that they can live those lavish lives. Kind of, I feel like that's the dynamic there with that. And now with Vegapunk, this is something too. I wonder if Lilith we'll find out Lilith in the next chapter. She probably, hopefully, that thing that Atlas did to her didn't shut it off permanently. That's we didn't see that anything conversation with that there. And they said that Yor can still communicate with it. But now I'm wondering if Lilith will be able to, or if what will happen with that. Well, actually, if there is something where it was kind of permanent, we saw that they have other bodies, so maybe Lilith can transfer her mind to another body. And so that's the thing too, the mind. Is it so basically they must be like, we see that the actual Vegapunk is dead. He died. I don't know if he can back up his memories and be his same individual. It looks like it doesn't work that way in this. Looks like the rules are he created these aspects of himself somehow, and they can be backed up because they're him, but it's almost like that's something too. That's what the chapter title is about, what constitutes death. So it's like they're Vegapunk, but this is where you get into that kind of debate of what it means to have a soul. And it looks like for the Vegapunks, the satellite, the original, I mean the Stella, he had a soul in the way we would generally think of it, and he's passed on, but he was able to create these versions of himself that, for all intents and purposes, constitute him, but can we really say they have a soul? And I don't want to be mean, because I like the Vegapunks, but it's almost like I feel like they really don't in the way we think of it, but they are still him somehow. He found a way to replicate himself in a very like I said, he had to split them though. He couldn't like make a whole version of himself. Maybe that's something too though. He didn't do any cloning. It looked like we have cloning exists in the One Piece world, but Vegapunk seems like he decided he didn't want to go down that road. That's what I'm guessing. He decided that wasn't a suitable way to do it. That's what Judge is doing. Judge is just doing it to make a mass an army. The Germans 66 had that scientific ability with his ability to do that. He created machines that could do that, and Vegapunk did that the same similar way, using Kuma as a template, but he didn't want to do it for himself in that way. I guess it must not have been the way he wanted to do it for some reason. Very interesting. And yeah, now we have one last thing too. Like what is it that Imsama does to impart these powers onto the Gorosei? I'm starting to think, yeah, that he's endowing them with something of himself, an aspect of himself, and then he can take it away whenever he wants. We see he clearly has some kind of powers because he's back at Marigewa's and he did something to Saturn from afar, from like halfway across the world practically. So there's something there, and I can't wait to figure out what that is. Like it's amazing how that worked. I'm guessing it had something to do with hockey, because we saw how Shanks was able to use that hockey. He was at the shore of Wano, and he sent hockey up to a huge amount of elevation and across to where the flower capital is, right outside of there where they were fighting to stop Green Bull. So I'm guessing he has some abilities related. He probably has something that seems almost magical, but also probably uses hockey to like, I can transmit this thing. I can tend thing. I took away Saturn's power with that. I'm sure there's something like that going on. Anyways, yeah, that's there's a lot to mull over here. I've been going over an hour now. Jesus. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this here now and get this out later. Thanks for watching.